please take their seats. It's 6 o'clock.
iPad didn't charge today. Didn't charge. iPad wouldn't charge today. I think it may be the cord. I'm still using the original cord.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. The date is September 23rd, 2024. At this time, I will ask Pastor Hugh Yarborough, who's with the Christian Assembly of God, to please come forward and present a prayer.
Amen. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today to thank you for the many blessings you've bestowed upon our city, the security and safety which we enjoy, the peace we have in our homes and on our streets, the grace you've shed upon your people. For all these great blessings, Lord, we give thanks. We thank you most of all for freedom and for the blessing of self-governance. As our founding documents declare, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. We ask your blessing upon our city council and upon all our leaders, police, fire, departments, first responders. Give them your wisdom and protection. We're reminded in your word, Lord, except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. We ask these things in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin, if I could please have Robert and Tanya Bell please come forward. Turn around and face the front. So whenever we have city employees that truly go up and beyond and give such compassionate care, we feel it's important to recognize them. So, on Friday, August 23rd, 2024, can't speak, Tanya picked up her senior client from an appointment to transport her home. And this was a medical appointment. When walking to the van, her client seemed unsure of her steps, but she was able to buckle herself in. As Tanya helped her client out of the van and into her apartment, the client was unsteady. Her client attempted to put the keys in the locked door and then entered medical distress, coming close to passing out. Tanya quickly got behind her, softly guided her to the ground, and then laid her travel bag underneath her head and called 911. She stayed on the phone with 911, giving the senior citizen comfort while they dispatched the first responders in an ambulance. The client at one point began coughing and gagging. Tanya, who knows her first aid, was able to put her in a position so as to not asphyxiate and laid her on her side while flagging down the first responders and the ambulance and to get their attention. She stayed with her client the entire time until they got her in her house and until the client's daughter arrived. This was a great comfort to the senior citizen. It meant the world to the senior citizen that Tanya didn't just leave her in there, stayed, held her hand, gave her comfort the entire time. And Robert brought this to our attention. So, we'd like to give you a certificate in recognition and an acknowledgement to Tanya Bill for her dedication to her clientele in such a responsive, gentle, and caring manner on August 23rd, 2024. Thank you for loving our senior citizens so much.
go, Tanya. Charlotte, and pins. Pins.
You more than one?
Yeah, me, us two do. Need one. Thank you.
Just a moment while we pass out some pins. Anybody else need one? That's good. All right. All right, we will have roll call, please.
Brooks.
Here.
Harmon.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
Sanders.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Broderick.
Here.
Thomas.
Present.
Wade.
You have received the minutes from the regular meeting on August 26, 2024, as transcribed. Any alterations?
Move for adoption.
Second.
We have a movement for adoption by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Lilly. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The motion passes 7 yes and Councilmember Wade absent.
Approval of the minutes of the special called city council meeting on September 10th, 2024, as transcribed.
Move for the adoption.
We have a motion for the adoption by
Second.
Councilmember Lilly and a second by Councilmember Brooks. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Abstain.
Broderick.
Abstain.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The motion passes with 5 yes, 2 abstain, and Councilmember Wade absent.
All right, August 2024 financials have been sent to everybody. Any questions, concerns that we need to cover? There being none, you will also receive the 2023 legislative audit report, which, congratulations, Colleen, it was an excellent report. Okay, there being no comments, we'll move on to committees and commissions. First up, we have Advertising and Promotion Commission, Councilmember Brooks.
We did meet, and we're working right now, getting ready for our budget for next year. We will have a special budget meeting this Wednesday at 4 o'clock right here to discuss our budget. Anyone's welcome to attend. So that's really what we're discussing, and we're also getting ready to start the Trail of Light. So that'll also be on our radar coming up for the October meeting. Our regular October meeting will be next Wednesday at 4 o'clock right here, but we will have a special meeting just for a budgetary meeting at 4 o'clock Wednesday here. Regular meeting is next Wednesday at 4 o'clock here.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Councilmember Harmon.
We did meet, and the minutes are in your packet. It's largely a report of progress on current projects. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or let Blake answer them, or Sean answer them. Otherwise, the next meeting will be the second Monday of the month at 6 o'clock in this chamber.
All right. Next up, we have Planning Commission. I'm asking the council if we could please address item B before item A, since item A was tabled last month and they're basically the same issue. If item B passes, then we would just need a motion to remove item A from the agenda. Any objections to item B going first? There being none, Shelby, floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening, Shelby Smith, to City Planner. So this item B on the agenda is a substitute resolution to the Master Street Plan Ordinance, and this was done based on the conversation that was captured the last meeting. So with that, I'll just kind of highlight a few points with this change. So with item A, we were reclassifying Oak Forest Lane to be a collector, and the recommended build-out to be a proposed collector while maintaining those local street standards, just to drop it down. So with this amendment, based on our conversation, we are now requesting to retain Oak Forest Lane to be that of a local street. It is built to the local street standards with that additional build-out of the subdivision, which is going through phased development. to still adhere to that standard. So this will keep it as a local street. It's built to that standard. Widening would be detrimental to the neighborhood if that were the case. And then also, it's an attempt with this amendment to right-size the street based on the build-out of the subdivision.
So Shelby, in layman's terms, we have the two pictures, but in the black and white, you can't tell the difference.
So in front of you, I did place some packets with color because I do know it is difficult to read the black and white. So we're looking at item B.
It's the third page.
Yes, the third page. And so with this recommendation as well, staff doesn't anticipate this connection would carry any additional traffic. Anybody that was seeking to utilize any commercial corridor area or even head north on Highway 107 would utilize Oakdale. It would be a benefit to those in the neighborhood. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. We're naming it, are we also extending it to Mine Road?
So that is where one of the proposed connections, and with that as well, this is a fairly large subdivision. It is coming in as phased development. So the more connections out, the merrier, essentially, for any type of catastrophic event, tornado, things of that nature for fire access and fire code requirements.
And there are 3 other roads, one below Oak Forest and 2 more north of Oak Forest, that dead end as well. Is there a plan to extend all 3 of those?
So yes, on the screen right here, all of this is going to continue to build out as well as this area over here. It
The
all
Fern
will
Ridge?
tie in.
And tie into what? Because there's not a street there.
Oak Forest. It is going to be a through development. It comes in currently as final plats, lots, and it continues the subdivision with the appropriate infrastructure.
So what's different from last month is that it's now simply going to remain a proposed local from where it terminates now to Mine Road, and instead of a collector, basically. So we're not going to have any additional build-out in the neighborhood area, is what you're saying?
Correct.
No,
It's
no effect to the
The
current
width of the
residents?
street.
a 50-foot right-of-way in totality, 27-foot paved width.
Okay.
And then also with this amendment, in the current master street plan, Mine Road is classified as a connector or a collector whenever this is built out in its entirety, and we've gone in and changed it to a local road. That is the standard in which it's
So
built
mine
to.
will be a local road also?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
The intent of this is not to create additional traffic.
It actually looks like Oak Forest Circle, it looks like it could actually take some traffic off currently of Oak Forest Lane as well as Miller's Glen Road, as they would have now potentially someday another way to hit Oakdale.
Correct.
Okay.
We do have 3 people who signed up to speak in this. Does council feel comfortable? Go ahead and allow public comment at this time. Okay.
First one is Michael Clayton.
Good Lord, Michael. Here you go.
Mike, you got 3 minutes.
My name is Michael Clayton. I live at 9100 Wooddale Drive in Sherwood. I wanted to see if you could pass those around to everybody. Hey, Mike? Yeah, there's 5 copies there for everybody. The main, there are several issues here. I see what's going on with the planning, trying to rectify some issues from development. I wanted to kind of point out, the first couple of pages is what the city had at the last council meeting, which is the existing master street plan. And if you look at the existing development that's there today, you can see the 2040 vision plan that the city had was adopted in 2019. This master street plan was changed as part of this proposal here. But now, if you'll look at what we're trying to do here is let me skip over to page 3, if you don't mind. And it's going to tell the whole story, and I only have a limited amount of time to kind of explain a few things. If you'll see about the middle of the page, it says, it's circled in green. That development happened in 2020, after the 2019 vision was adopted. So a development was planned, went forward, and at the time ignored the collector street that was required to build that's shown as existing. Now, the original development had 4 ingresses and egresses to the entire subdivision on Oakdale. And the connectivity was planned from day one, and it's shown on the next page where the original preliminary plat that was approved in 2012. But this is really kind of a mess, and I understand you're trying to clean this up, and I don't know what the best answer is, but let me point out about 3 issues that need to be addressed. Number 1, if you'll notice on the western side of the development, there's a red line there. That was original collector street that was adopted for the 2019 vision plan. That didn't get built. The collector street for the 2020 development, that didn't get built there. And then we have Fern Ridge Road.
Mr. Clayton, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, Fern Ridge Road has 49 lots, and you're not supposed to have more than 30 lots without having a second ingress and egress. That's the Fire Prevention Code, Volume 3 which is the International Building Code. And if you look at Wooddale, it's got 62 lots without a second ingress and egress. You need to get some connectivity in place. And the other thing, the last thing, is going to the east to 107. I think it's a bad idea to have multifamily and single family tied together.
Okay, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Next is Alan Higginbotham.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name's Alan Higginbotham. I live at 11121 Mine Road in Sherwood. And we have visited with about this amendment to extend, to connect 107 to Mine Road. There's 14 homes on this section of Mine Road kind of impacted that's on the east side of Kellogg Acre. And we just can feel that there's just some concerns that we had that I'd just like to bring it before this council and for some thought. We feel that there's a need for a risk-benefit analysis. What's the risk versus the benefit of this? What value is placed on the natural resources that will be damaged and the habitat that supports a lot of wildlife in this area? It really kind of serves as a sanctuary for a lot of the wildlife in this city. Oakdale already connects to 107, connects 107 to Kellogg Acre, approximately 800 yards south of where Mine Road connects. Mine Road is 16 foot wide. It requires about 2 to 5 mile an hour passing with the minimal resident traffic that's currently on it. A huge safety concern is Mine Road intersects at Kellogg Acre with a very bad blind spot on a hill just to the north. More traffic highly increases the risk of accidents at this intersection. A stop sign or red light at this intersection has a high probability of increased wrecks due to the blind hill, which is just 100 yards north of Mine Road. Mine Road is prone to flooding currently. Again, I'm not an engineer, I just know what I live with and we go through and look at. Increasing traffic flow, again, is going to require this road, Mine Road, to be widened, impacting about 4 or 5 homeowners' property. Probably have to place storm drains that will ultimately restrict watershed runoff and result in more extensive flooding, along with erosion issues. There's a lot of history on Mine Road, too, again, with the original silver mine entrances that we like. But these are a few concerns. Just at the top of our head, as we saw that this amendment existed, that we would like for this, that the neighborhoods have talked about in this community, it's a kind of a secluded community. And we would just like the city council, street committee, developers to consider before moving forward with a higher traffic flow on Mine Road. And I thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Mike Hollis.
Good evening. Thank you all for the opportunity, Mayor, City Council. My name's Mike Hollis. I live on 11101 Mine Road. I've been a resident of Sherwood pretty much 97.372% of my life. No joke. You know, it's been a great town to live in, but it is a bedroom community, and we're trying to grow it, right? But we need more businesses and such and so forth. But Oakdale has been there for many years now. It's been 3/4% completed. It has not been fully brought up to current standards. There's no sense in going to Mine Road. Too much infrastructure would need to be done. Has there been any discussion, as Mr. Higginbotham discussed, has there been any discussion about the water that's coming down through Kellogg Creek? I see it because it's coming through the corner of my property. And I will tell you, it is very concerned, as it is right now, of overflow. That intersection up there, there's also a bus stop. Did anybody know that? You know, so again, with this blind hill, go look at it. I took pictures if you want to see it afterwards. I'll be more than happy to show it to you. Another thing is, I didn't find out about this until one of my neighbors told me about it, Kyle Wade. I wished he was here this evening, but he already had apparently a vacation plan. I wished it had been extended out for him to be here as well to listen to this. But at the end of the day, I don't understand how this, I've been told it's been on the docket since 2019, when I did not move in on Mine Road in 2019, nor did I know about it. I asked a real estate agent, because we've been through this on Johnson. Johnson is a highway. We moved from there because I've got a young daughter that we used to play out in the front yard. I do not want to go through this again, selfishly, right? All my neighbors, we are all concerned with it. Getting to Kellogg, it's going to be a mess, unless y'all put in some serious infrastructure to that right there. There's a lot of wildlife, just as Mr. Higginbotham said as well. But at the end of the day, I wish some more signage would be put out for notification that, hey, this is on the planning books, so potential buyers in Sherwood that are looking to move here have a little bit more of a heads up instead of looking back through card catalog and doing decibel library looks up, right? But, you know, at the end of the day, I think that this just really needs to be rethought. The infrastructure, again, if y'all were to move through this, there is no sewer on Mine Road. It's all on septic. Is the city looking at bringing that in for all the residents in Mine Road and on the backside of Mine Road? That's going to be very, very costly for the city of Sherwood or the builder. Why didn't the builder already have this in place?
Sir, you have 30 seconds.
Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
This time I'll ask for Shelby, if you'll please come up and you could address.
So I would like to speak to the first comment. So in February of '23, Vision 2040, December of 2019, it was approved as a policy document to govern development through the city of Sherwood. However, in February of 2023, City Council ultimately approved by ordinance that we recognize the master street plan within Vision 2040 as the master street plan, because whenever Vision 2040 was adopted by resolution, it did not repeal the existing master street plan. So there wasn't a lot of issue in the past of what was going on, what to regulate by, and simply some things just were not being accomplished. That predates staff on hand now. So what we are doing moving forward, we are requiring the build-out of standards, the dedication of the appropriate right-of-way based on the classification of the roadway.
So one of the things he said that does concern me, and I don't think it has a lot to do with what we're doing tonight, but I want to ask it while it's here and while I'm still here, is that this preliminary plat, was this approved by the city?
Plats as the subdivision develops out to the west.
Well, that's one of my questions, but, you know, we had a problem with another subdivision off of Brockington for a long time with insufficient ingress and egress into the subdivision.
Correct.
And, you know, we've gone through quite a bit of construction this year. Bond issue had to be voted in and everything else to fix that subdivision.
Right.
So we have sufficient ingress and egress. And it troubles me when I see that it was originally approved for 4 entrances off of Oakdale, and we only have 2 or 3 of those, I think two of those now, and other issues like that. And I guess I just want to point out that I hope that with the new 2040 plan and what you're talking about, this is one of the things that we're looking at now to make sure we have sufficient ingress and egress for the number of rooftops that we've got.
Certainly, and that's the thing with this phase development, as it continues, it will not be a dead-end street. There will be through connections made It's just part of the phase development, but that is something certainly we do look at whenever development comes in, even commercial development. The fire marshal is very active in our plan review.
And I would point out that what you're asking us to approve tonight would also help with that issue. It would add an additional ingress, egress to the subdivision, to the northernmost.
Yes, it
side
provides
of the
staff with backing and a direction to require the developer to make that through connection.
All right, thank you.
And that is intended with this development regardless.
Where
That is the
it-
proposed.
Where it connects to Mine Road, is that the public part of Mine Road?
Yes, where it is right away.
Okay.
In
and-
this area right here, I can actually
How
point to it
far
on
from
the
the
screen.
gate? How far from the gate?
So on the screen right here, it's going to be
I mean, you can't see
connecting.
anything from that.
Oh, let me.
Much better, thank you,
Is
Ms.
that,
Shelby.
there we go. Okay, so right here where it connects in, this is actually the Wade addition, and this is the Farley addition right here. But this is all public right-of-way. And there was 20 feet from the center line dedicated as part of the plat if any type of development and infrastructure improvements pertaining to the roadway were to come about.
Okay, told you I drove out there the
Yes,
other
ma'am.
day and actually looked, because that is a very narrow road.
Yes.
And they have their fences and their property lines are right close to it. I'm more concerned with how you're going to get there. I mean, unless you're going to go very much south through the woods because when I saw the gated area, I'm thinking, how are they going to connect? Are they going to come through that gated area? Going to
So-
come south of that gated area?
So south of the gated area, it's going to connect in this curve before Mine Road heads north. The
Okay.
gated area up here is private.
Can you
From best
show-
records we can tell.
Which area is Mr. Deere's that he is planning on developing so that they can kind of get a better?
So there is continuation. There will be single-family residential housing in this area and this area as well. He owns all of this property and it will continue. So there will be a through connection of infrastructure.
So again, everybody's going to have to go out through Mine Road to going west.
It'll all connect back into Oak Forest as well. There will be multiple through connections.
But
He
I'm
own-
not seeing you just said that was private land up there, the gated area.
This is where the gate resides on the screen.
Okay, so where does the private property stop and the public property end so that there could be another route west than everybody going through Mine Road?
Do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I drove out there, so I know what that looks like.
If you look on here, is that correct? This is the private.
Yes, the gate is located right here.
This is all.
Public too.
This is all public.
So only that little
This is all-
V is the
yes,
private.
Yes.
This is what's private right there.
So is everything else that's, you're calling public is owned by Mr. Deere?
Yes.
And he's going to develop that, and we're going to hold his feet, so to speak, to the fire, that he's going to have more ingress and egress, because looking at this
I'm not comfortable.
right here, there were supposed to be 4 entrances.
Yes.
And what I'm looking at on here, on pages, which I also drove out there, there are only 2 entrances on Oakdale.
Right.
So 4 does not equal 2. Not in my Sylvan Hills math. I don't know about everybody else's math,
Because
but
we didn't have Beverly for a teacher.
I did not have Beverly for a teacher, even though she was old enough to be my
Oh,
teacher.
shut up, smarty pants.
So there will be a through connection, like this proposal is stating, it will connect into Mine Road, which is existing at that corner. And also, the development, the city owns this property, and then Mr. Deere does plan at some point to utilize his multifamily housing to develop as well. So there will be additional through connections.
What property is the city own?
Look on your screen right here, if you can see me pointing. This was dedicated to the city.
Down, I'm sorry.
This is the city's. Right here.
Yes, the
This
east.
is Mr.
Wait.
Deere's R2, this one is R3. And these have been zoned that way
For some time.
for a
Right.
long time.
Correct.
I know, from a long,
Long time.
Can you tell, so on this plat that was approved with the 4 entrances, it gets real small up here, but is Mine Road, I mean, so we approved this without this road connecting through Mine Road, and now we're wanting to change it based off of what
So
was
what we're
approved?
looking at is the master street plan. We're not necessarily looking at the preliminary plat. We're not even looking at final plats. We're looking at the master street plan as is effective today.
But I guess what I'm asking is, why did the master street plan not reflect what was already
I
approved?
can't speak to that.
That
Because
was all pre-people
I
that
can't
are.
I know, but, I know, but this is what makes it hard for us. So almost everybody sitting up here approved that master street plan, but it's for the entire city. And so we don't know to zone in to one little, minute road to know it doesn't match what was already approved. And then you have people upset, and rightfully so, because we want to change what we've approved. Because
Right.
we've approved two conflicting documents.
And I will say, Vision
think you're right.
2048 is a policy document. It's a governing document for development across the board, land use and infrastructure
can be
improvements.
adjusted.
Yes, it
That
can be adjusted. It's a living document.
Exactly. 'Cause I remember when we approved that, that was one of the things Mr. Harmon was punching at, that it's going to be adopted. I also have a concern from two of the gentlemen with regarding to the infrastructure and the lack of sewer system.
That
Something to
is
do
a
with
moot
this.
point as it relates to the master street plan. All of these improvements, and I did have those phone conversations, all of these improvements that we are looking at, this is a guiding document for development. The improvements that are going on for this subdivision and the phases that are consequently coming in, that's at the expense of the developer.
We have.
Those improvements will be dedicated to the city, but the city is not going out and placing infrastructure.
So if you think, like in Councilmember Broderick and Councilmember Harmon's ward, we have areas where it's on septic and it's in the middle of the city, and there can be, sewer around it. It's not, unheard of. We have areas that are not, that were developed without it, and so therefore, it remains without it, because it's
And we
pretty
do, but-
expensive.
But they're very upset about it. You know what I mean? When they're within city limits and
Yeah,
they're on
they-
a septic, so.
But
this
they
is-
made that choice, so it was,
But-
they had to,
But I
like,
would argue moving forward, it kind of adds insult to injury to put a road through, and then they don't even get the benefits of the I mean, they're still going to be on a septic tank.
That's kind of where my mind went on
well,
that.
it was
Or-
declared right away, wasn't it?
I don't want to,
This.
When it was approved, those homes for development on Mine Road, they had to dedicate right away, correct?
So whenever the property here was platted, there is right-of-way that was dedicated in part with those plats. And that was the end of 2014, 2015. So improvements.
when which properties, Mrs. Shelby?
On Mine Road,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
I would point out that what Shelby stated earlier about it not being relevant to what we're doing here, we couldn't talk about sewer going into a particular area unless there were a road there first. So we have to put the road in first before we can talk about sewer going on the road.
Well, there is a road there.
Right. Well, I mean, this road, what we're talking about putting in, we have to approve this before we can talk about putting sewer in it. We need it on the master street plan. I mean, is all that there, that whole section, we've already connected Mine Road? We haven't connected to Mine Road yet, have we?
No, that's the
That's what I'm saying.
proposed.
That's
the
what I'm saying.
proposed.
That needs
But
to all
there
be in
is,
there before we can
there
talk
is
about it.
subdivision planned with those improvements per the subdivision that will continue
So-
west.
that
So there
it'll
could be
there. When the
possibility.
subdivision's built, it'll be built out.
But I think it's going to be just like it is now for those folks
For the
in
people on
Sherwood.
Mine Road, yeah. Yeah, it's just like, I'm on septic tank because my house was built in 1959. I'm on Club Road.
Well, that's
Because
what
they
I'm
didn't wanna
saying.
go
These,
that
these
expense.
people who have spoken, they're going to get the traffic and all of that, but they're not going to get the city
Just-
sewer
just
and all
like
that.
I do, right.
Yeah.
Those improvements will go all the way to Kellogg Road. So we're gonna, that short piece of Mine Road right there will also be upgraded, curb and gutters.
That is not, so
And
what we're.
it's just gonna stop right there.
It will be it's at the expense of the developer as they are developing out the subdivision to place those improvements. It would be outside of the land in which they are developing. I can't speak to that necessarily.
So
That
Shelby,
would
question.
not be a decision I make.
Yeah, so my question then, so if the developer comes to us with plans, with ideas, do we have to approve it if it doesn't include the stuff that we're all sitting here talking about?
So there is phase development it's ongoing. As you'll see on the screen here, Fern Ridge Road, these are estate lots. Wooddale is continuing to be built out. There are residential lots being built out. The
I
infrastructure
know
is
that,
going
I'm
in.
talking about the Mine Road, everybody's talking about the sewer and all that. So we're saying that a developer is gonna do all this, and we don't have any control over it. but the developer has to get approval from us, from y'all, to start a development.
So you want the developer to have to pay the expense of land that's not his when people had the option and they chose not to? So you're saying not to do it unless the developer now goes, even though they waived the half-street improvement?
I don't think he said
No,
that.
no, I'm talking about if the developer is gonna do anything to that road, if anything's gonna happen to that road, to Mine Road.
The
So you
intent,
saying they don't have to do anything to Mine Road?
so the intent of this development, they will create an additional connection. They're not going in and they're not doing any it's not part of the subdivision.
So kind of like we were talking about Jacksonville, Cato, when we were talking about widening it to 4 lanes, and then right there before the bridge is gonna go down to 2.
Yep, that's what we're talking about.
So
That's it.
basically, we like the
That's
same
exactly
thing here.
It's kind of like, for example, if you look, like, I would think, Woodruff's kind of, an example. They didn't make Miller's Crossing, when Miller's Crossing was built, to then go in and do improvements on other streets. You do the improvements on those that, were already, there.
And
Now, it's not to say that it couldn't, but.
Maryland also.
Okay, I'm hearing that, but is it right? That's all I'm asking.
Yes, and
That's the
it's
question
not
I'm
always that way. Sometimes you negotiate with a developer, and the developer will
Exactly.
build out the half-street improvements coming
That's what
into
he
the
said.
subdivision.
That's what he was
And
saying.
yeah, and sometimes they don't. I mean, it's both commercial that way and it's residential that way. The Shackleford Crossing Shopping Center, I believe, had to build the overpasses that are there next to them. Extremely expensive overpasses, but they're not on their land or anything else, but that was part of the negotiation they made. And, it's similar with this situation, and we've had subdivisions where they would build out streets that were not related to the subdivision. In fact, Hemp Hill was originally supposed to be built out and built through by that developer, the developer that built Stone Hill, and Hemp Hill was not any part of Stone Hill, but it was a negotiated part of the development. So yes, you can do it, you cannot do it, it just depends, and it's a negotiation that you make with the developer. But if this development has already been approved, and this is a phase that's already been approved, then we're late to the dance.
Did they, though, specifically ask for a waiver for the half-street improvement?
So on Mine Road, it was the Wade and Farley addition. All of that was granted a variance to have street improvements, the curb and gutter, anything of that nature.
So it could have been required,
These don't get required.
but it saved them money to not have to do it, basically. Is that why that they waive those things, or ask for that to be?
It could be costly.
So
So-
the variance has already been granted?
This was back in 2014, 2015, whenever
variances?
these parcels were subdivided for
do half-street
development.
improvement.
It has to be a lot and block before a building permit is issued.
They were issued a variance so that they did not, so normally you have to do a half-street improvement when you build out. So with those homes, they asked that they not have to do a half-street improvement. And that was not, and that's to no criticism of those who, granted that. That was well within their right, to ask to not have to do the half-street improvement. But, it does help those smaller developers to then not have to have those costs. But they specifically asked for it not to be done.
Shelby,
According to the records.
Assume you've seen this that Mr. Clayton presented us. I had 2 questions about it. This was done in 2011. I know you were born then, but you were not working here then, okay?
Close.
All right. And there's the 4, the connectors.
Yes.
2 of them in the middle, but this one's not finished and this one's not developed that far. So those connectors might come on board later, but I cannot tell if this is connecting to Mine Road or not.
There's
at all.
houses there, Beverly.
houses
There's
there
no
now.
way they can connect.
No way you can
There's-
connect.
I've just said they weren't there.
No,
So the
there's a-
subdivision along Oakdale, those estate lots, they are built out at this point. There's been a number of things that have occurred over the years, and I cannot speak to or
And we can't
against
undo
that.
But does this show connection to Mine Road is my question.
Not that I can tell on
I
that one.
couldn't tell either.
So, but with any variation that's come along the way, when we're speaking about the master street plan and the amendment that's before you tonight, that proposed connection, regardless if it's the local street that we have before you this evening or the collector that was proposed, it did tie into Mine Road. And we're trying to make a viable option, because as it stands, it's running through estate lots.
And if we do require a widening of Mine Road, that means where people's properties are having to go onto it. I don't know that they would necessarily want a widening right there, but that's
All widening does is increase traffic.
correct. The narrower the
attracts
road, the
traffic.
slower it is, and it makes it more of a deterrent to not go down it. But that's.
And so what you've presented, if the Mine Road piece was taken out, is it still helpful to the city to have on the right hand of the screen, the orange and the other gray?
So that's just providing some interconnectivity for that commercial subdivision that is planned at some point, as well as the multifamily housing.
Where are you talking
I
about?
think.
So
I think
with
if-
that, though, we're back to square one of reducing our access, and that's not necessarily a viable option as well.
Right, because you're still he's gonna develop there to the east of Mine Road, which means we need access off of Kellogg,
Of
other
both
than
areas.
Oakdale, for fire and emergency and everything else. So I think we still need to keep it just like it is.
Is there anything more north than Mine Road to do the connection?
No, it's private.
It's where the connection would be possible is still Mine Road, and that is the private area of Mine Road, not where we have public right-of-way.
We definitely wouldn't want to go that way because it's gated and it's private.
Damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Can I move for the adoption of the resolution? Is there a second? We got quiet.
This is for we're looking at B, right?
We're looking at B, right. We're looking at just putting it in as a local
Collector.
street only.
Local street, not a collector.
Right.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Brooks. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick.
No.
Lilly. Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The motion passes, 6 yes, 1 no, and Councilmember Wade absent.
Okay, we'll ask at this time for a motion to remove item A from the docket.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Lilly. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly. Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Motion passes, 7 yes, Councilmember Wade absent.
Next up, we have an ordinance amending the official zoning district maps for the property located at Lot 19RR Marywood Edition and for other purposes.
Okay, so this next item on the agenda was tabled last month. As you will recall, it is the applicant's request to rezone the property from C2 to C3, and that was on the basis the applicant did share the intended use, and the intended use is only permissible by right in C3. So with that, we have in the packets before you with all the colored visuals this evening, it's a C3 parcel summary along Kill Avenue, just to kind of bring a little attention to the different areas in which are zone C3. Specifically that of the white outline and the white hashed areas are specifically C3 properties abutting R1. And then there's a total of 92 along Kill Avenue. And this was all done to say that C3 is an appropriate zoning along Kill Avenue corridor. Staff still recommends approval of the application.
Yeah. I don't think that the abutting the residential property, I have had several emails and a few phone calls, and I followed up with several of them today on, from Penwood on this, and abutting the residential property is not their issue. Their issue is specifically if if something, doesn't have to be a coffee kiosk, there's 40-something, some odd plus uses when you go from C 2 to C3. And if one of those 40-some-odd things goes in there and then has ingress and egress off of Penwood, that's what concerns these residents, because they're basically a thoroughfare from Club to Keel. And the traffic is faster again now. I've had complaints that the traffic is faster again now since the removal of the speed table. But they're just, like I say, they're a thoroughfare for that traffic, and traffic, you know, you'll have 2 or 3 cars oftentimes backed up already trying to turn onto Keel, several cars coming off of Keel onto Penwood during the day, and I know this to be a fact because this is the way I used to get to Keel from my house. And so the ingress and egress issue is the problem. And I like that you provided this too, because I note that while we're asking the one street that is a thoroughfare to 2 other major streets to take on a C3 on its corner, you look across the street, we've got streets that are dead, most of them are dead ends, that have C2, 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 C2 on all their corners. So we're asking Penwood to take on C3 on its corner and take ingress and egress when all the streets around it have C2 on their corners. And that's another thing that seems unfair to the people on Penwood. So, you know, I just, if there's a chance of ingress and egress onto Penwood, which would obviously increase traffic on this street that already has traffic and speeding issues, I would just simply have to oppose this rezoning. And that's just where I am.
Charlie, let me ask you, what about could we do a C2 conditional for this?
So, and I can speak to that. So within the schedule of uses, whenever a use is sought, now typically with rezones, it's not, we look at compatibility with the plan. We're not looking at what the intended use is of the property. The applicant did share that with the planning commission as well with y'all last month. So with that, for example, for this property, what they're seeking to offer is a restaurant with a drive-through. That is only permissible in C3. It's not allowed in C2. You can have a restaurant in C2. There's no drive-through allowed. So if it's a code amendment we need to look at to maybe make this a viable option, if that's the hesitation, we can certainly do that.
But
But
the other thing that was.
I want to point out that staff still has control over the ingress and egress issue at the planning, at the
Site planning.
So the site plan does
site plan.
come, yes, it
So it
has.
would still be them deciding whether there's ingress or egress on Penwood, not us.
This is something I think, you know, Finley, this is your expertise. His specialty is actually street traffic engineering. So can you kind of talk to your views on this?
Yeah, I spoke about this a little bit at the last meeting. I think my recommendation would be, well, it would be better from a traffic safety perspective and from an access perspective to allow or better to require access on Penwood rather than on Keel. Given the dimensions of the property, it would be difficult for a main access drive to be located on Keel without being in pretty close proximity to Penwood. I can tell you that if, aside from this conversation, if an application for development of this lot was submitted to the planning department and the engineering department, and only one driveway was shown and that driveway was on Keel, it would be staff's recommendation to the developer that they move the driveway to Penwood for safety reasons.
And that's even if the driveway were adjacent to and shared with the dental clinic that has a driveway currently,
Yes.
you know, that close to Penwood, and would put it on that corner, which would be the west, that would be the southwest corner.
Is there a shared
Northwest
access
corner.
driveway at the dental office right now?
Right now,
No,
if you look
there's
at it, the dental
landscaping.
office's driveway kind of, I can't tell if it crosses the property line or not, but it's right on the property line.
It's on the
It-
If
property.
there's not a shared
doesn't.
access agreement, then the
It's
dental
got
office would have to
landscaping.
grant a shared access agreement to the owner of this lot in order for that to be possible. And staff couldn't require that of the developer because that would be an undue burden for the owner of the property.
Okay, if it was an adjacent driveway on that corner.
Well,
Can
for
you
it-
pull it up on Google Maps so we could
Yeah, sure.
look at that and see what exactly we're talking
As a
about?
person who goes to that dentist and just this last week was in and out of that egress right there, they have one. And it's on the east side of their property. If this particular owner theirs on the west side of the property where they butted against each other, there's a cosmetic divider there, okay? But
And so,
very close, but the key is, in and out was not an issue for me. You're far enough from the hill, from that area, and it's wide enough, you've got the center turn lane.
right, and
But
I go to the hair salon that is on the corner of Penwood and Keel, on the other corner, and they share a driveway with the Baptist Health. And they are on the corner, and they have no ingress or egress off Penwood.
Penwood.
They have zero.
So I'm wondering if our best step is to
Marina,
make
so
sure
the-
the site plan.
So this is,
So
yeah,
that-
right here on the corner.
Is
Yeah,
that
right.
right
it's all on
there?
his property.
It looks like there is some type of ingress and egress on the
It's on the west.
the
side.
salon over there on
No, there's
Penwood,
not one there.
but
There's not one
There's
there.
not one there.
Nope.
what is?
It's like a little drainage thing or
you
something.
No,
something
but what's
drainage.
further down, closer
you talking
to the, if you go down,
On Jay's property?
no,
No, to the salon.
on the salon, across the street.
Go to the east.
Go east.
There you
Go
go.
Okay,
east, Shelby.
right there
Thank
over
you.
by where the
There's
trees
nothing,
and stuff
no.
are, there's
There's
nothing there?
nothing.
There's
No.
nothing there.
Okay.
No there. We drive that.
No, they
We
share
would have
with
to get permission from
Jay.
Jay to, because you've got bushes and you've got parking places.
Well, no, I'm not asking to use his. I'm just saying that they could put the ingress egress
Adjacent
adjacent to it on his
to it.
own property and not have the ingress egress be allowed through site planning.
I know.
Off Penwood.
No, what I was saying is that Rock, what do you call it place, the haircut place?
Rock
Yeah.
House.
Yeah, Rock House shares theirs with the Baptist Health.
I hate
They
to
have-
point out, though, that you can't put restrictions at this level.
That's what I just said, not this level.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
We can't
that's
do it.
something that could be,
We're just trying to work things out. I know back years ago, when Metropolitan was building on Keel, and they wanted to back up into a neighborhood, when your father was mayor, the neighborhood back there did not want them on their streets, and we worked it out where they could ingress and egress pointing towards Brockington and not pointing back into the neighborhood in the Wits Edition. Because they did not want the traffic on their streets, and I understood that. But, so we worked it out where they would be pointing towards Brockington. Is there a way where we could make the ingress and egress onto Penwood that would point them towards Keel?
So whenever the applicant, if this were to be approved for a rezone, whenever the applicant would make application for site plan, that's something that we could consider.
You know, so they would be forced, they would force them to go towards Keel where they would not be allowed to go to on Penwood.
How do you do that?
left turn only.
Left turn only.
And
you know,
you
angles
force the
out.
the concrete forces them to go that way because there's no way they can physically unless they tear up their wheels or something.
And I will say, whenever we're looking at commercial development, specifically along one of these commercial corridors, we're looking at it from a life safety perspective. So I can't promise that.
Yeah, see, that's,
If this is something that needs to head a code amendment direction to where we address the drive-through versus just basic sit-down restaurant, that's something that we can source.
and see, once it leaves us, once we've zoned it and it leaves us, we lose all control.
I know, but I
That's what
feel
worries
for
me.
the neighborhood too. I really do. Speaking to someone who has a tropical smoothie in their backyard, and I can hear every order of everybody that goes through the drive-through window, believe me. But, you know, that property was for sale for a long time and we could have bought it, but, you know, anyway. But as chairman of the A&P Commission, also I need to be mindful of the tax revenue that can be brought in from any type of sit-down restaurant or drive-through restaurant. I need to be mindful of that also. I need to be mindful of the taxpayer revenue that can be brought in. So I'm torn in this. So I'm trying to find alternatives that could appease both sides.
Another thing we have to consider is we could zone it C3 and send all of our, you know, beg the planning commission and the staff to leave ingress and egress off of Keel or the left turn only. And then it could be the fire marshal who says, we've got to have ingress and egress off of Keel. It has to be this wide and it has to be turning from either direction so our trucks can get in. Because it could be for fire requirements that they
Right.
put the ingress and egress
Sure.
off of
Shelby,
Penwood.
where
So-
is Penwood on this map? Please, if you can pull that back up.
You would ask me that.
I know, because, I mean.
Hold on a second,
none of
I
the-
know.
None of the north-south streets are labeled and
You were
Keel's
on
a
it.
long
Well, the
street.
point of this map was to detail the number of C3
You can,
zone
City Hall's
properties.
right here.
yeah,
You see the track that's outlined in black dots?
Let me,
do you see the
Penwood
white
and
kind of in the
Keel.
middle? That's like the Harmon Center.
This is City Hall, okay.
here we are.
Oh, this is 107. Oh, that's 107. So it's right in here somewhere.
Here's Harmon Center, here's
So it's gotta be
us.
here.
Yeah, so it's,
It's gotta be right in here somewhere.
yeah.
But there's nothing that far back that way.
Do you want to let the individuals that have signed up, let them come speak?
Yeah, do you, anything, okay.
Uh,
We have several individuals that have signed up to speak, so.
Anthony and Carla Zadorian.
And if you two would just be on standby. No, not you guys, I'm sorry, Finley and Shelby, I'm so sorry. Did not mean for that to be confusing to you.
Okay, y'all have 3 minutes.
Okay, hi, I'm Carla Zadorian,
Hi, I'm Anthony Zadorian. Good evening.
and we just wanted to be up here to represent the property. We actually bought the property, and we are looking to get it rezoned. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. We have taken into consideration all of the requests or all of the complaints and items that might come up, and we're more than happy to work with the city. I mean, we want it to be a safe and manageable business. We love this city, so we really want to add to it, not make an issue with it. So if you have any questions or concerns, please let us know. We're right here.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, Jan Gillum.
I've spoken before. I'd like to talk about the site first. It stayed empty for a long time, and there is a reason for that. It's a poor site for development. It's dangerous. It's dangerous both to the people on Penwood trying to get off and people trying to turn on to Penwood. The line of sight is terrible, and an entrance onto Penwood, it's, if you lived on Penwood, you would know what a bad idea that is. The owners have a financial interest, but so do the 60-plus families who have bought their homes or who rent. And I think our financial interest is just as important as the owners of the lot. If this is rezoned to C3 from C2, it will affect our property values, especially the people closest to it. Good luck selling a house there. Penwood bears the burden for Sherwood of this increased traffic because we're a through street, but we are a residential street. A C3 business, it could be this one, or if it doesn't come to fruition, who knows what it could be. And we will have no control over it. You can't go back. If this turns out to be a mistake, you cannot fix it. We will have to live with it. You talk about Keel Avenue having so many areas for C3, but not where there is a hill like that. It is a 5-lane street with a lot of traffic, and it's all coming over that hill too fast.
Ma'am, you have 30 seconds.
Penwood is suffering from the traffic, and if you really want to put a nail in our coffin and turn the street into something we don't want, just zone it C3. That's all I have to say.
Your time has expired. That was all the people we had for speaking on that. We're going to have somebody on the millage
All right.
later.
So with that, I can take any questions. But this is a matter of compatibility with the plan, and the request is compatible.
The biggest issue that I've got really, being a member of the street committee as long as I have, I mean, speeding on Penwood has been an issue forever. And the more traffic that we potentially add on to Penwood via a C3 business versus a C2, it's just going to add to that issue. And that corner there is incredibly dangerous, trying to come out from Penwood onto Keel. And I think the potential for increased traffic alone, where it's already dangerous, where there's already a speeding issue, isn't enough in my mind to not support this going C3.
Might I offer a suggestion of, if we table this, give you an opportunity to go meet with Dr. Powell to see if there's an opportunity in which he could give permission for a shared use. Otherwise, this could not be brought up for another year. And you would have bought that property, sit on it for a year. But if that's what the best solution is, then that would give you an opportunity to meet with him. I know he was excited about that business. He came to the Planning Commission and spoke to you all about that. Would you like to come forward?
There's also another option, I think, that Shirley said. She mentioned that we could look at whether the drive-through required the C3. It's already C2. Nobody's going to be
It's
opposed.
with certainty it requires C3, and that came after the applicant's request to rezone to C3. Now, if we need to look at code amendments, and
That's what I'm asking you. I said, because there's also that possibility that if that zone commitment was that a drive-through can stay in a C2, then maybe that's a better solution.
Although that
I
wouldn't
think that's-
change the traffic
that-
situation.
That wouldn't mitigate any of the issues
Yeah,
related
that
to
doesn't fix
ingress,
anything.
egress,
That
or the
just-
traffic
That
concerns.
just changes the label.
But it would just down zone, keep it at a lower zone to where it would be permissible.
It's been the reason I said that it's been C2 for everybody forever, and nobody's fussed about, the residents haven't fussed with it.
But if a high-traffic business had been placed, if a high-traffic business had been classified as C2 and had been built there, then it would. The reason that the businesses with drive-throughs are not C2 is because they're high-traffic, and we put high-traffic in C3.
So we're more than willing to talk to Dr. Powell, or Dr. Powell, right? Okay, just making sure I have the right name. We're more than happy to talk to him and see if he would allow us to have that. But I just want to make sure, there's a lot of restrictions or a lot of things that we need to go through in the code for the C3 anyway. Like there's a lot of, there's restrictions for how many cars we can have in the waiting line, spaces for how many parking spots we need to put. There's a whole bunch of things that we need to make sure we meet with C3. And so I know that that's part of the Planning Commission whenever we do the site plan. So just to make sure that we can meet everything that needs to be met whenever we do that, at that time. So I don't know if that's when the ingress and egress of the driveway comes in. So because there's a lot like the set-offs between each side, we need to have 40 feet off of the street, and you know, all of that stuff. So we want to make sure that we're able to meet all of those requirements as well as the drive-through and the driveway.
So you are good if we table it until next month, until we can get final information on it?
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
What would be, is that,
So that we just read it again this one time and then.
You don't have to table it.
We don't
We just
table
read it the
it.
second time.
okay. All right, we'll just allow it to go to another reading, and that gives time for you all to meet with Dr. Powell and see if we can come up with a solution that works for you all and that works for the concerns of the council and the residents of Penwood. All right, moving on, we have an ordinance to approve a conditional use permit for the property located at 8801 Highway 107 and for other purposes. If you continue on with your packet that Shelby gave you, it is, I believe,
Item D,
yes.
the next to last.
Yes, next to the last page.
I can't speak to that at this moment, a storm drain.
Do I just to clarify, do I just ask them for permission and then we'll work out the technical
I would say, why don't you speak to Finley? He's coming up. He can talk to you about all that, okay? All right, so moving on, you've got a picture also of what they're proposing.
This is the small Walmart?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. So this item on the agenda, and this is just the current zoning map with the current land use. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next image. So there's been a lot of questions on where this proposed gas station is located, and it's going to be up in the northeast corner. It is going to utilize the existing ingress egress, and again, this is a conditional use permit. So it's a use permitted within C3 with prescribed conditions set upon it, which was part of the requirements that the applicant did meet. So it's going to be 8 pumps, dual-sided, 16 in totality. With that, the recommendation from the Planning Commission was approval of the application.
And did I read that it's going to be one-way?
So that is one of the conditions. Let me pull it up because the applicant did give me an amended plan. So that was one of the conditions that Planning Commission did set, is to place signage to where this is an entrance only, and then also some type of lane striping denoting such, to try to mitigate any traffic concerns.
Just doing the math, that is 4 service stations in that one block, in that block division. Corner south is one, then this one's the neighborhood, then a little more north is the Circle K, and then right behind it is all the pumps at the big Walmart. So,
It's more in a block.
I mean, but no, from one corner to the other corner, that's one block. I don't care how long they are, that's a block.
I love competition.
Yeah, it's kind of free enterprise system.
So it is a conditional use permit, so it is.
But what happened to I know the moratorium has expired, but we put that in place for a reason, and now, and we denied people.
So that moratorium was placed to allow the planning, goodness gracious, the city council sent back to the planning commission code amendments. And what came of that, which was ultimately approved, was C3, where it was permitted conditionally, and C4 by right. And with that amendment, there is a prescribed list of conditions, and it's specifically that related to development and aesthetics, landscaping, et cetera, that any new service station coming into the city would have to adhere to, and they do.
And this is C4, isn't it?
This is C3.
C3, okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's right, this one doesn't have outside storage. but-
Yes. But that ordinance, it was 2458, and it was adopted August 23rd at
And
the
it
meeting
It
for.
expired a few months ago, right, didn't it?
So the moratorium expired June of '23. The new
That's what, 3 years ago.
condition,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, and
The
that
new
allowed the new
language for
conditions.
service gas stations, things of that nature within that realm
I thought
went
it
into
expired this
effect
year.
in August.
Okay.
Can you tell us what the new things that were approved, the conditional use, like, can you tick off what they have to do now versus what they would have had to do previously?
So previously, there was not a prescribed set list of special, we call them special use and development standards, so that was not existing. So that was something with the amendment that came along, there are development standards. So it's related to design, where the exterior wall coverings, like the canopy and support coverings, have to meet the exterior wall covering requirements. There's landscaping requirements, screening for the dumpster with a finished masonry block has to be enclosed. There is perimeter landscaping, things of that nature. It's more from the aesthetic side of things, design standards.
And I believe, it was allowed by right before in NEC 3,
Yes.
correct?
Now it's conditional.
And now it's conditional.
Correct.
Any other questions, comments?
I'll move we suspend the rules and place it on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Harmer, second by Councilmember Brooks. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick. Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
An ordinance to approve a conditional use permit for the property located at 8801 Highway 107 and for other purposes. Second reading.
I move we suspend the rules and place it on third and final reading.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Harmon, second by Councilmember Lilly. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick. Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
That was the third reading? No. Okay. An ordinance to approve a conditional use permit for the property located at 8801 Highway 107 and for other purposes. This is the final reading.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
We have a motion for adoption by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Brooks. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The motion passes 7 yes and Councilmember Wade absent.
An ordinance amending the official zoning district maps for the property located at 8900 Highway 107 and for other purposes.
I think first off, we need to get you a stool for the next meeting or something to sit down up there.
Thank you. I will take it. I'll bring my own. So this next item on the agenda, and my last item this evening, is a rezone request from R1 to R3. There has been a lot of questions about this, so I will clarify a few things before we get into it. So this is a rezone request towards becoming compliant. The applicant is the owner who owned the property for a number of years when it operated as a residential care facility, and that is the intent to reopen here sooner than later post-fire in 2021, I do believe. And they've been renovating ever since to get it back up to code. And so with this application, what will be here next month, hopefully, is a conditional use permit that is at Planning Commission.
So they've had a building permit to renovate, even though they weren't in the correct zone since 2021?
So they have been operating for some time.
30 years.
For 30 years. The fire came, it was red tagged. The owner then went in and started renovating, and a business license came across my desk. And at that point, it's like, I can't approve this, but we're going to pave a pathway towards being compliant. But their license had not lapsed.
And I
with the
read in your
state.
minutes, that this is just the zoning, the conditional use approval is going to come separately.
Correct.
From this. So what we're doing is we're creating a tract that's going to be zoned from now until sometime in the future when it might be rezoned or whatever, Armageddon, that's going to be R3 multifamily across from Walmart.
Yes. And that it is R3 for a reason, because back to the schedule of uses discussion, when we're looking at the use with compatible zoning, whether that's by right, conditionally, or temporarily, residential care facilities are only allowed in R3.
Okay. And now you talk about code changes. This is one I might consider a code change for, because it makes me nervous to create an R3 in that particular area of Highway 107. And like you say, we don't consider the use, we consider all the uses that are applicable under a particular classification. And they could they could change their mind and not reopen a residential care facility, or they could just decide they don't like the residential care facility and tear that building down and put multifamily up right there, and could do it by right after we put an R3 tract on Highway 107 across the street from Walmart. That just makes me a little nervous, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Am I wrong in any of that?
No, that would be correct.
I agree with your comments. That's why I didn't know if we could do a conditional for this specific business, or if it has to go through a code.
So the
change.
conditional use will hopefully, for this particular property, will be before you next month. And that's where conditions can be placed
I mean,
on
can
the
we-
use itself.
Can we leave it as is and make it conditional, or, you know?
You'd have to go back to the zoning and.
It's a code amendment.
You'd have to
Either
make
way
the
you're looking
code.
at it, it's an amendment to the code.
So
So
like
can
if
we
we
just
did
read
the-
this one time
We can
tonight?
just read it once.
And maybe you could work on bringing something like that back?
If we can
And if we
recommend
got
that to
the
the,
code so that residential facilities could be,
In C3
In-
or C2 or C3 or something like
Yeah,
that, which is what we would consider appropriate on that area of the highway, and then do it that way.
So-
Because we wouldn't expect that to be R1 anyway, across the street from Walmart, but with C3, C2, C3, something like that, if we had residential care facilities conditionally in
where are
C2 or
hospitals
C3.
allowed? Anywhere?
there, I would have to go in and look. I do believe it's by condition.
Okay.
There's 13, 14 pages of separate uses. It's hard to remember all
Really?
of them. Yes.
You don't have it memorized, Shelby?
Not yet. I will
Can't
work on
believe
that.
You don't have that memorized.
Okay, we'll just read that one time
Read that one
tonight.
time.
And
Okay.
so the recommendation is to go and evaluate the schedule of uses to look at commercial zoning districts that would be appropriate for residential care,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. I can handle that.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, next up, we have an ordinance assessing a 1 mil tax on real and personal property as a new millage, certifying to Pulaski County Clerk, and the new millage and the existing 1.3 mills to be levied by the city of Sherwood on the taxable real and personal property for the tax year of 2024, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. This has been read 2 times. This is the third and final reading of it, and we do have,
Last month, we made an edit to the title of this. And we actually said, or I wrote in my notes that we did, that we wanted it to be called, dang it, Police Department / Public Safety, were the intent of what this was for.
I don't think
No,
we,
remember we discussed that you can't, it has to just be for the general
Oh.
fund on the first time.
and then we
Pass it,
go
and
back
then you,
in.
by a later ordinance, you can.
Okay.
By resolution next month, then we
I
appropriate
remember
it that
writing
way.
that down, that we were supposed to do that, so,
Yes.
didn't put timetable. Okay.
We have one person.
We have one person signed up to speak.
Mike. I was gonna give it a try. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Timer, I don't need the 30-second mark.
Okay.
Don't mind, just, my timer will go.
Mr. Timer.
My name's Mike Masuko. I live at 8725 Trail Creek Drive. I'm here to speak against the proposed millage increase. Time to throw away the easy button that says tax the people to cover our expenses. It's time to meet our required mandatory spending by reallocating our bloated discretionary expenditures. You know where they are. No government voluntarily reduces itself in size. City millages, once launched, never disappear. Actually, a millage is the nearest thing to eternal life we'll ever see on earth. Current library tax came with a sunset clause of 2025. Replacing one tax with another does not relieve the financial tax burden to our residents. This millage is an insidious form of taxation. Citizens will not know that it was imposed until they get a mortgage statement or when they assess and pay personal property taxes. And it will increase again in time. People are taxed enough already. The city budget has 52 line items of revenue, fees, taxes, and permits. No more talk of diversifying our revenue stream. That's political speech for new taxes and fees to impose on our already overtaxed residents. You have $9 million in reserves. Utilize it versus pushing the easy button solution to raise taxes. Those council members retiring, there's no political penalty for a no vote. Others seeking re-election, please list your millage vote within your campaign ads of accomplishments. You were hired to manage our money efficiently, especially in today's economic climate. I move we solve this problem with reallocation of funds, not tax increases. That, coupled with skyrocketing hidden tax of inflation, hits everyone. Homeowners' insurance premiums have increased substantially. Mine was 24% just this year. Check your receipts from Walmart. A gallon of milk for your children is over $4 a gallon. You're faced with two critical issues, according to the talk of the town. Jail costs. You've known about the cost increase for the past 10 years. Why hasn't the city addressed this oncoming problem until now? Number two, the 9/11 state-mandated consolidation. Act 660 was passed in 2019 that taxes every cell phone in the state in order to fund this 9/11 upgrade. Mine is $1.30 per month. How much is yours? We don't want to hear about funding pay increases to match North Little Rock pay scales. This is a state-mandated consolidation. The three mayors need to come together with a solution that's within the budgeted funds provided by the 9/11 tax revenues. Thank you.
4 seconds to spare.
Okay.
This was the third reading?
Yes, sir, this was the third reading.
I move for the adoption of the ordinance.
Before you do, I do want to say something.
Okay.
I am the only one up here for reelection, so I have been walking door to door for the last three nights. Feels like an eternity for the last 3 weeks. And Mayor, I have been met with a lot of statements just like his. There's just a lot of people out there who are against this, a lot of people. I was in someone's garage for 20 to 25 minutes on Saturday while he railed against the city and against the government of all, not just the city, but the groceries are up 40%. His paycheck is not up 40%. We don't need any more taxes. I know I got a text this afternoon from one of our residents as she actually texted Beverly and I both together. And she also wanted to make sure that and I forgot to ask, that she said our YouTube, our stuff's not taping well, and wanted to make sure, I forgot to ask you that earlier. Our audio visual is not doing well. Not now, but what didn't do well last month, and she hoped she could watch it better this month. But anyway, that people are just fed up with taxes and want us to spend our money more wisely. And just based on my 3 weeks of walking now, door to door and listening to what everybody has to say, I just don't feel like that I can vote for this right now, even though I support our police. I mean, I voted for the 4% pay raise because I truly believe we need more police officers on our street. And we do need our 911 center. We got to pay our jail bill. I mean, it's got to be paid. But are there other solutions out there? I hope so, but not this way. So I'm sorry.
I don't support it either. I said that last month, but I do support the library tax, so I don't know if the other council members, to me, these need to be split. That the library tax was voted by the popular vote. It's going to sunset. This is our last year to collect that. I would vote for that. So, because if that does not pass, that's going to come out of our reserves. I would vote for that. I do not support the 1 mil.
I would agree with that as well. The additional 1 mil, as our speaker said, I mean, inflation being what it is, everything happening right now, I mean, this is just not a good time. And the monies that would come off of that, you know, they don't offset what the additional needs are. I mean, this really isn't about public safety for me. I mean, I think we've got the funds that can absorb the needs at this point, and, you know, maybe that's something for the future. But I would agree with splitting the two out.
In support of my motion, I would just say that, you know, since the Boston Tea Party, taxes have not been popular. They're never popular.
No, they're not.
And we've talked about a millage, voting a millage. For 18 years I've been on this council, we've talked about we need to put part of the millage back. It's incorrect that we've never had a millage. We had 5 mills in 1992, and the council voted out the 5 mills in place of the sales tax that was voted in by the populace that year in '93. And so the council agreed to replace the 5 mills with the sales tax that the people voted in. I think that was short-sighted. When Walmart, the Walmart that was on the access road, closed a few years later, the city was in dire straits, was nearly bankrupt because of the lack of sales tax revenue and the fact that the income stream for the city of Sherwood was not diversified. And we do have a surplus. We've been using the surplus for one-time expenses. And that's all you can use a surplus for is one-time expenses, because you don't know that you're going to have the surplus next year. And the expenses we're talking about using this 1 mil, 1/10 of 1% increase in taxes on, increase in property taxes on, are ongoing expenses. Expenses that are salary expenses, expenses like the jail expenses. I've read that we're not telling people what we're going to use them for. We're absolutely telling people what we're going to use them for. It's public safety, and they are ongoing expenses. So you have to have an ongoing stream of income to pay ongoing expenses. You can't use one-time monies that are windfalls to pay ongoing expenses. It doesn't work. It's a financial disaster. And so that's why I believe this 1/10 of 1%, 1 mil tax on real property is the prudent thing to do at this time for the city. And it was the prudent thing to do 5 years ago. It was a prudent thing to do 10 years ago. It was a prudent thing to do 15 years ago. And it's still the prudent thing to do today. Nothing has changed as far as what's prudent for the city and us as the managers, the financial managers of this city's finances, and that's what we do. That's what we're for. And we have a professional financial manager now for the city who's recommended it. Our chief has recommended it, and they're supporting it, and I support it, and that's the reason I move for the adoption of the ordinance.
We have a motion on the table by Councilmember Harmon.
Well, so I'll say, I've been talking to people as well, and I've heard it both ways. You know, because I think there's been a lot of commentary out there talking about our surplus that we have. So what I've heard from people as well is we have a surplus. Why don't we use that? But I also, being from another board that I'm on, when you do have a surplus, you can't plan your operations around that surplus, or you will run out, as you said. But I will agree, my question is there a way we can split it out where we can continue the library, which is sunsetting, so that people wouldn't feel an additional burden on taxes? Because people have said we have felt that.
We can indeed do that, but just keep in mind, this is 1 year in arrears, which means this ongoing expense, we don't see a penny of this until, if we do indeed do that, until 2027. This, you know, the statement was made, we've known for 10 years about the jail bill. That is absolutely, as the chief explained last year, that is indeed not the case. The billing costs went up, the way in which they billed went up, and so many cities have changed the way in which they are policing their cities because of the jail bill, for example. We can't go and pass raises, even more so than the police asked for, when we don't have a way in which to pay it. We've got ongoing costs of, we've got the radio systems, for example. Cars have gone up. I mean, I don't know this bloated, what there is, the joke was, what are we gonna do, put them on scooters? I mean, it's not that there's this huge amount of bloating going on out there. There's absolutely not. We have been streamlining operations left and right. People have brought up parks. That was done through A&P monies. We spent less on parks this year, a considerable amount less on parks this year than we did the previous year. So this is truly about public safety. And a way in which to pay for it. Chief, if you'd like to speak to it, but we can, if it is not the pleasure of the council, then we can do a different ordinance for the library only, but that does not change the situation that we're going to be facing.
I do think we need to do the library separate, because, I mean, I didn't know we had to redo those votes every year on that, or didn't remember we had to redo that vote on that every year. But I had some phone calls today, and I've had some emails, just like Ms. Brooks has, and I pulled out the thing that I think Ms. Young prepared last month, that this proposed bill is going to create $648,000 a year. And one of the things they asked me, they said, y'all are fixing to enter into a budget meeting. Can y'all not just talk about how to incorporate that into your existing budget to have that happen? And so that was given to me today as another idea. But I would like, I do believe we did not get a second on Mr. Harmon's motion.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. I don't understand what your last statement was in terms of we can't incorporate anything into a budget if we don't.
The comment was, since this mill would create $648,000.
Correct.
Is it something that we could absorb that intent and put that money for safety, fund some money for safety out of our budget, this extra $640? That was a question asked to me. I'm just thought I would share it.
Colleen is coming up, and
that was a comment
she could speak to that as well.
As the public hears this, that they saw
Yes.
this, it's, only $648,000, that's not an only amount, but.
That's a huge amount.
Sure. Mayor, council members, as you know, the timing of this every year is difficult because the city, we're required to provide the information to the quorum court by October. And as you know, we're a 12/31 year end. We're currently looking at the budget process right now that we'll bring to you, next month. So while, just absorbing a large amount is, not always something that's feasible, like when we talk about the 911 center, with the amount of, potential one-time costs to build a new facility, in addition to just potential increased, ongoing maintenance, and the increase in the jail bill. Is there a way to absorb it? Yes, we can say we're increasing this much to the jail bill, and then we will propose the projects or services potential, things that would have to be cut. Because, the option is, can we continue to provide everything as we are now, give a cost of living increase each year when we also have mid-year increases? Is it sustainable going forward? And that's where it comes in, because the costs are increasing. So, the true answer is yes, you can absorb that within the budget, but you're going to pull something else out that the council will have to decide not to fund anymore.
But this is what's important. All of us are getting feedback from the public, and they know that because it's the same with their personal budget. But they're telling us, take something out, but do not tax us anymore. And so that's the feedback that we get. And I know that, you're in charge of the money that we do collect and that we do spend, and it goes out. But that's what we're collectively hearing. Do with what you have, and if things have to be cut, they have to be cut.
Well, does someone want to make a second and then you can vote? The seconding doesn't mean you're for it, it just means it comes up for a vote. Or do you want it to fail for lack of a second?
We'd have to do it 3 times. You should just fail for lack of a second, right?
It's like a second, okay.
I think the chief was wanting to say something, though.
I would like to say something. You know, we talk about
We need to do that one.
the fact that we don't want to use reserves to pay for things. And we talk about, you would like for us to bring this information to you and try to come up with a suggestion. And I did that, and I did it 3 or 4 months ago, and I met with each of you individually, or I spoke to you on the phone, and you told me that you supported this. And you said that this is something you would have supported. Without that, not everybody, but without that, I wouldn't have introduced the ordinance. I wouldn't have asked to introduce it. So I would just ask that for now on, if I meet with you and that's what you tell me, that you would follow up with it. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Okay. In anticipation that this might not pass, we prepared the library millage ordinance only. We need a motion to suspend the rules to add this.
So moved.
Second.
Did you pass them that way?
They've all received them.
Okay.
Okay, we have
A motion and a second to suspend the rules.
a roll call, please. We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon, and who was the second? I'm sorry, I was looking at the back of the room.
Motion by Brooks.
Motion by Brooks, second by Harmon. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 yes. Councilmember Wade absent.
We have an ordinance certifying to the Pulaski County Clerk the rate of taxation to be levied by the city of Sherwood, Arkansas on the taxable real and personal property for tax year 2024, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Move to suspend the rules and place it on second reading.
Second.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
An ordinance certifying to the Pulaski County Clerk the rate of taxation to be levied by the city of Sherwood, Arkansas on the taxable real and personal property for tax year 2024, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place it on third and final reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Lilly. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
An ordinance certifying to Pulaski County Clerk the rate of taxation to be levied by the city of Sherwood, Arkansas on the taxable real and personal property for tax year 2024, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Third reading.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Lilly. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders. Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The motion to adopt passes 7 yes. Councilmember Wade absent.
And there is an emergency clause.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The emergency clause passes 7 yes. Councilmember Wade absent.
We have an ordinance establishing regulation concerning the sleeping or camping on public property, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
I think Councilmember Williams has a couple of edits.
Friendly amendments.
Friendly amendments.
You don't like the city Sherwood?
The Sherwood UD?
Well,
No.
that's a typo.
That's a
That-
typo.
That can be fixed.
That's not really an amendment.
No,
Yeah.
no. Just, one of the things that we've been working with this municipal league is in some of our legislation, that we should be using the phrase residents versus the word citizens. We had that conversation, I was telling Steve, at one of our meetings on the executive committee last year, because the persons that live in Sherwood are the residents of Sherwood, regardless of what their citizenship is. So throughout our documents, we should use probably the word resident versus citizens. So, and I think in the second whereas that occurs, as well as in section 6. And I'm just asking a friendly amendment to substitute the word resident where it said citizen.
We have a motion for a friendly amendment by Councilmember Williams, substituting in all places the word citizen for residents.
No, we're
No.
resident.
For residents for citizen, correct?
We
Yes.
want to put the word resident in where it says citizen. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Brooks. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
An ordinance establishing regulations concerning the sleeping or camping on public property, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes as amended. I will say this ordinance is very, very similar to the one that was recently passed by Cabot. Jacksonville's in the process of adopting one as well.
Well, I thought Jacksonville adopted one first.
Did they?
They
Okay,
adopted
so
one
Jacksonville,
first, and
I didn't know
then
if they
their
got
people-
through all
And then
three.
Cabot.
And then Cabot went second, because Cabot adopted one because the people from Jacksonville moved towards Cabot.
Yeah, well, it's actually been talked about.
Yeah.
The attorneys of the league, once the Supreme Court case happened, they started discussing it basically at that time, correct?
So,
Yes, so.
We move to suspend the rules and place it on second reading?
yes.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Brooks.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
An ordinance establishing regulations concerning the sleeping or camping on public property, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes as amended. This is the second reading.
I move to suspend the rules and place it on third and final reading?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Thomas to place it on third reading. Roll call.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
An ordinance establishing regulations concerning the sleeping or camping on public property, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes as amended. That was the third reading.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
We have a motion for adoption by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Williams. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The motion to adopt passes 7 yes, Councilmember Wade absent.
There is an emergency clause.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The emergency clause passes 7 yes, Councilmember Wade absent.
Next up on the agenda, we have a resolution expressing support by the City Council of Sherwood, Arkansas for the passage of the initiative known as Act for Sherwood.
Move for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion for adoption by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Sanders.
Friendly amendment to change the citizens to residents also on this one, please. I tried to get it in, but she was fast.
But non-citizens don't vote,
And
Oh,
that's,
that's good too. Okay.
so I think.
I'll leave that one then.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Har-
you.
Way to go, Harmon.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The motion passes 7 yes, Councilmember Wade absent.
But they can't vote for this unless they're a resident of Sherwood. playing with.
Okay, I'm
Or
gonna
a
throw,
citizen of Sherwood.
I'm gonna throw something over there at you.
And I will say, it was never brought up at the last exec meeting, so. Okay, next up, we have a resolution amending the 2024 general fund budget and for other purposes. This is in regards to the jail bill,
Yay.
which is $296.60, which will bring us
Wait,
again.
not
296
60 cents.
$296,060, which is not the full amount we have spent on the jail bill this year. This just is the remainder that we have to bring us up to date. And the reason for this, just to be clear, is because there were billing issues. So the league had advised us in 2022 to hold off while everybody else went ahead and paid their jail bill. We did not, and so we have been paying in arrears because it is a very large number. So, Chief, floor is
Yeah.
yours.
I'm sorry, but this doesn't come out of my budget necessarily, but I'm probably the most able to speak to it. So when we first started getting billed for this, the cities did not pay up front in the beginning. Everybody was paying in arrears. So the first year that we paid this, we budgeted the money and we paid it for, and I apologize, I think it was in 2021 was the first billed cycle. So in 22, the budget was passed to pay the 21 bill, and I could be wrong, it could be 23 to 22. But regardless, we budgeted the money to pay in arrears for the year prior. Well, since then, there's all kinds of billing errors, and I've got one person that's all they do is reconcile this bill. It's a mess. So, and there's still things that we can test, but the long story short, we were paying this bill in arrears. This last year, all the cities have come online and they're paying it as they go. So for us, the problem with that was when we budgeted that, I think it was $500,000 last year to pay the jail bill, we paid last year's and we have paid up to this point, but we've run out of money that was budgeted. So there's two problems with that. One is this will catch us up, and then next year the budgeted money will go to pay that. But I will tell you, that's an imperfect science because we don't even know what the daily rate's going to be yet because the county hasn't told us, and it'll be sometime probably in October or November typically is when we find out what that daily rate's going to be. So it's hard and we're doing budget now. Most of the departments have already submitted their budget, so it's hard to guess what that amount's going to be. But we'll probably budget what we budgeted for to pay for this year and hope if they go up $10 a day, then
What is the current daily rate?
is it 60?
$63.21.
63?
Which you paid, yeah.
But it's
But the way they
typically a
take 'em-
minimum of 2 days.
The way they take them in,
2
don't we
days.
get charged 2 days for every person?
For every person that is there, but once they're in there, it's that $63 a day. Now, last year, it was $74 a day. And so that's what I'm saying. It went down this year. There's some other things that we're contesting that we're trying to get some clarification on. And I hope that we get some credit based on some of those challenges, that we don't need all of this money, but that's just the best we can do to project at the rate we're going now, what it'll cost to get us to the end of the year.
Chief, when did we know we had to pay last year, or we couldn't be in arrears anymore?
Well, we were never supposed to be in arrears, but all the cities were because the billing was so erratic. When they would send us the bill, we would reconcile the bill and we would find several $1,000s a month that we shouldn't have been billed for. It's gotten better, and now instead of finding several thousand, we find a few $100s. But there are some points of contention that we have right now that will be a considerable amount if we went out on that. It's just, it looks like we may, and it may be something that has to be decided in court. So we've worked with Steve on that, but we're trying to get to the bottom of that.
To give you an example of that, Councilmember Broderick, I found this, Chief had given me on the jail bill. I mean, like, in 2023, we found as much as $12,121.06 in 1 month. So the least amount that we found was 1 month, there was $571.32. So that was part of the reason why we were paying, 3 months behind, because it took a lot of time to reconcile it and finding these errors that because trying to get your money back after you've paid or it was just it was a nightmare. But now we know, for example, in the month of July, it was $249.95. In June, we didn't find any errors. In May, it was $979.76. But for the most part, they have been $200, $300, $500 in it. So I think we feel more comfortable. At least, we're not looking at 12,000 anymore like we were. So that's what made it so difficult to budget.
Sure. The part that made it hard for me, and I called the chief and talked to him, it's easier for the council to know as early as possible when this is looming, even though we didn't maybe know a dollar amount, but to know we had to settle up basically 2 years in 1 year. Because this year, we've made several budget amendments. And then people email and they call and they text, they say, why do you keep amending the budget? Well, maybe we would have done things differently had we known we were gonna have a $300,000, over $250,000 amendment at, 3 months before the end of the year. So that's my ask, is that we're informed early on when we know we're gonna have to make an adjustment so that we can consider that with all the other requests that come our way.
We will provide information as soon as we receive it. This year, we actually have had fewer amendments to the general fund budget. I believe this is actually the first budget amendment to the general fund this year. Now, there have been amendments to or this might be the first or second. There have been others to like street fund. There's been a budget amendment. But as far as making a budget amendment requesting the use of reserves, this, that we've had, a significant.
I think we approved the pickleball courts. That was an additional
That was
mid-year.
A&P.
A&P paid for the pickleball courts. The ones
But
out here
you were
anyway.
right, but it was A&P.
Motion, we adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lilly and a second by Councilmember Williams.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas. Broderick.
No.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Motion passes 6 yes, Councilmember absent Wade, and a no by Councilmember Broderick.
Next up, we have a resolution amending Resolution 68, 2023 to reallocate funds to allow the purchase of radios for the police department and for other purposes.
I looked, Chief, and it looked like you had about $220-something thousand you hadn't spent out of your capital disbursement account so far?
Yeah.
We did. So when we ordered, when we do the upfit projections on our vehicles, that's an estimate. I mean, we get these companies to send us an estimate of what it's going to cost to upfit. So we had that $200 and some odd thousand that was left over on that. So next year, we're going to have to buy radios, and I think I told y'all last month, Our portable radios are no longer under warranty, and they can't be fixed. So when they break, they can't be fixed. So we need to order some radios next year. So my ask is, so we don't have to put that in the budget next year, if we just reallocate 100,000 or whatever that amount was.
Right.
110,000
Of the unspent.
of that unspent capital, so we can purchase those radios this year, so we can leave it out of the budget
Sounds
for
like a
next year.
smart way to use your money.
Yep.
Yep.
Move for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Harmon. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
The motion to adopt passes 7 yes, Councilmember Wade absent.
And I just want to clarify, because this is going to, in the budget for A&P, we have in the past approved it, but that's not really the way that it goes with state law. So we did not actually, there was no motion, there was no doing anything to take the pickleballs out, pickleball courts out of A&P money. That was solely an A&P activity. And so when we do the budgets this year, A&P approves their budget solely by themselves. They're going to give us a copy of it out of courtesy, but it's not something that's within our jurisdiction in which to pass or not pass.
Really?
Because they're an
Yes.
independent commission.
Yeah,
versus-
and that's just in keeping with state law. Any other issues under old business? Under new business, we need to discuss the December 2024 city council meeting date, if you all want to keep it as is, or if you want to move it up a week due to, I believe it's the 20.
It currently falls on the 23rd.
Yeah,
The
on the
fourth Monday
23rd,
falls on
if
the
you are
23rd of
comfortable with
December.
keeping that, we can keep that. Otherwise, we can move it up to the 16th.
Yeah, move it up.
16th.
Is everyone comfortable with moving it to the 16th?
I support that.
Yes. Move it to the 16th.
I'm sure y'all three do.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon to move it to the 16th.
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Lilly. Roll call, please.
Harmon.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wade. Williams.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
I'm
Let's see.
retiring a week earlier than I thought it was.
That's the only item we have right now under new business. Under announcements, microtransit did launch today. On October 3rd, we have Sherwood Parks and Recreation Blood Drive from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Bill Harmon Recreation Center. Also, on October 3rd, we have the Sherwood Police Department's Night to Unite at City Hall from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Please try, council members, to be in attendance. This is a really great time in which to showcase our first responders and to show our support for them, and there's going to be lots of fun activities. On October 9th, we have the Senior Center Pancake Breakfast at 8:30 a.m. at the Senior Center.
I'd like to.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You
No.
go ahead.
Just once again, if anyone's interested in joining Keep Sherwood Beautiful, we do meet tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the Bill Harmon Rec Center, and we would love to have some new members. So if anyone is interested, we are looking at changing our times to later in the day once we get some new members, but we would love for someone to please join our crew at 3 p.m. tomorrow at the Bill Harmon Rec Center. And starting in October, we will have the Halloween/fall yard of the month. If anyone's got any good yards in their area, please turn those in. And then December, we'll have the holiday Christmas yards of the month for December.
Cool.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention one thing. I've been sitting here mulling over since we changed citizens to residents earlier for the people who draft the ordinances, that we would consider that carefully, so that, because we now have in the minutes that the reason we made that change was because residents might not be citizens, and now that we have that in the minutes, we could accidentally give non-citizens some right that they otherwise wouldn't have by using the term resident instead of citizens in our ordinances now. So I want to put that out there that, that we need to be cautious making that change in the future. All right, that's all.
Any other announcements? City Council may allow public comment at this time. We did not have anyone sign up. So if we have a motion for
Move to
adjournment.
adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Harmon.
Pass that down to Charlotte for what time? 8 o'clock. Charlotte, can you put that in his box?
I put everything in. Yeah. 8 p.m.'s finish time.
See, my phone says 7:59. Oh, well.
Shorty shorts.